Torquay and back to Cowes powerboat race. Last year I took part as one of the competitors in this boat, Miss Pearlcorder. This is us on our way to Torquay, and I'm the one up front next to the driver. My job is to do the navigation. The 200-mile race is the highlight of the powerboat racing season, and our team were determined that 1979 was the year that we would walk off with the trophy. As you can imagine, it takes a lot of hard work to get both boat and crew to the peak of fitness for such a grueling trip. The race takes place in August, and 2 weeks before, our team moved down to the peace and quiet of Lymington in Hampshire. In the yacht basin, amongst the hundreds of sailing boats and motor launches, we started to make our final preparations to get Miss Pearlcorder ready for action. A couple of days before the big day, Maggie came down to see how we were getting on, and I started off by showing her around.
Right. Well,
there aren't any seats.
No, there are no seats. Welcome aboard, Miss Pearlcorder.
Thank you.
Which
I was expecting whistles and things.
Yes, I'm sorry, we don't do that. We only do that for admirals. Well, this is it. Have you ever been on a powerboat before?
No, I mean, why don't you have seats? Is that the bit you couldn't afford?
No, it's nothing to do with economy. The whole point of the layout of the seats is that, I mean, if you stand in there, you'll see that it really is quite comfortable once you're down. And you push yourself back into that,
like that
foam rubber horseshoe. And then when you're getting the shocks of going along, which I will demonstrate to you later, you feel quite comfortable. Whereas if you were sitting down, it would be very, very hard on your back. So we all stand up.
So this looks very complicated.
Yeah, well, to give you an idea, I navigate and I can lose the race, because if I get the course wrong, then we miss a buoy or go the wrong side of a buoy and then we're disqualified.
So you're the one they can blame?
Exactly. But this guy can win the race, because although steering has a lot of skill to it, here you actually set the attitude of the boat, very much as you do in an aircraft. The point about this is you've only got 2 controls over the movement of the boat, I mean, ignoring the actual throttles to go along. You can alter the engines. I mean, if the engine is upright like that, you can make the engine tip so that the propellers will either come further out of the water or further in. And that movement affects how far the nose goes up and down. Also, we have 2 flaps on the back which go up and down and act almost like an extension of the hull. So your idea is to get the boats going as quickly as possible across the water with the minimum amount of wet area, because that's resistance, but also not too much dry area at the front, otherwise the wind gets underneath and you spend your whole time going along like that, which is no good to anybody. So if you want to set the engines, if you watch those engines, they are now fully in, and if I press that button down, see them coming up, and they will come up and down through quite a bit of movement. And obviously you wouldn't go that far up or down, but you can set it, and then also by touching these flaps you can push the flaps on the back and dig the boat in. In fact, it's possible by just, say, pushing the right-hand flap down, you could turn this boat round completely without touching the wheel.
So you don't have a rudder or anything to?
No, the steering doesn't affect the rudder. You actually move, because it's outboard. You just move the complete engine unit. But when you think that each one of those engines is as powerful as any exotic sports car, each one is delivering that sort of horsepower, this boat fair flies along.
That's incredible, actually, isn't it?
Yes. My job is to do the throttles. And, of course, there's 3, 1 for each engine.
Well, is that the run? Are they the throttles?
No. They're safety switches. And the driver has little cords on the side of his life jacket which run to those buttons, so that if he went overboard, it would cut the engines. It's just purely a safety thing, so the boat can go on without it.
Oh, I see. Well, that's clever.
No, the throttles are these red and orange levers there.
There's 1 big one and 2 small ones.
Yeah, well, if you push the 1 big one, it takes the 2 small ones forward.
Yeah.
And then we have them ganged so that they pull back, so you can pull and push them as 3, but if you flick a little switch, then you can operate them individually. I mean, what you've got to remember is that it all looks great here, like this, sitting in a berth. But you imagine out there on the water, and it's all going up and down, and every now and again someone throws a bucket of water over you, and it all changes.
That's the bit I'm frightened of, the real thing.
I mean, have you got 3 minutes now? We could maybe pop over to the Isle of Wight.
Oh, well, if you're very careful.
If you could spare 20 minutes, we'd go to New York.
Should we try that?
What, maybe half an hour, actually, because it's blowing up a bit. We may look silly in these outfits, but powerboating can be very dangerous. So fireproof suits, life jackets and crash helmets are absolutely essential.
Terribly sure what it's supposed to look like. It looks quite tight.
Jolly good. I've introduced you to Miss Pearlcorder over here. Can I introduce the most important guy? It's Ray McInhill.
How do you do?
Actually owns the boat.
Oh, what do you do then, besides owning it? What's your thing?
Well, I drive it occasionally. And,
Sorry?
Not very well.
drive it occasionally, yeah, not very well, says Noel.
Maggie's first powerboat trip wasn't just a joyride. We still had a lot of final adjustments to make. So an hour at sea would not only be fun, but useful as well.
Andy, can you cast off? Please.
Miss Pearlcorder's engines can drive her along at over 80 miles an hour, but leaving harbour, she has to go very slowly, so other boats don't get swamped. The Cowes Torquay race finally took place on August the 27th in absolutely awful weather. We did in fact start very well, but with just a mile to go we had problems, and it turned out not to be our day. We originally were second in our class, but in the end we just finished 10th overall. This year we're going to be trying again, and with a bit of luck and a great deal of hard work, we'll have a go at winning it this time. But whatever happens, it's still great fun to take part in the world's most exciting powerboat race.